Now it's time to do the carburetor. Set your motor aside. Alright, there's your carb. GX340 and GX390. Jets. And I'm putting a 140 emulsion tube. I'm going to use the GX340, not the 390 because I think it's a little too big for the 212. And then I'm also upgrading the low idle jet, which are these. Little seals and low idle jet. Could be gas left in this, but we'll see. There's a bowl, no gas left. There's your jets down in there. Your emulsion tube's also in there. That's just your lever for your choke. I have a screwdriver that specifically fits down in these that I found. Because these are brass and you don't want to strip them out. Just gotta be careful and you can get them out. Boom, they both fell right out. Sometimes you gotta push the top of this, which is down in, you can look down in here. Sometimes it's sticking up. Well, it's always sticking up. But if you can see that. Pop it out with a screwdriver if you need to. So there's your old stock ones. Drop your new 140 in. I push it with the screwdriver just to make sure it's in there. It gives it easier for this to seat. Drop our little jet in. Again, just be careful. Make sure it's lined up. Gently screw it in. Boom, snug. Okay, throw our bowl back on now. Now we're gonna do our low idle jet. Taking out this screw right here. Right there. It's also your idle screw. It's how you're gonna adjust your idle later. Well, there's the old one. You can always have them as backups if you need them. Throw your new one in. Simple as that. There you go. Carb is done. Now, let's get our carb and throttle linkage set up. This is your main bracket. This will be going here. I've popped this whole cover off because this isn't a tapped hole. This is. They give you a longer screw. They give you a screw and a nut for this. It's going to push throttle it comes with. That's gonna be your new linkage for your carb. I'm gonna pop this cover off. Those are 8 millimeters. We're gonna take the entire cover off, not just the pull start. This one comes with longer. Right up here is where your ground is. Make sure that you screw that back in and it's not just dangling. Now we can hook up our spring and our throttle. They want you to use your old governor spring. I don't do that. I use my own springs. Okay, you typically use these guys right here. Make sure nothing's hitting. It's hitting slightly on the edge of that. I always have to adjust these a little bit. So let's just adjust that a little baby bit and it back down a little that way instead. See if that worked. Probably did the trick. Yep, now it's flawless. And so coming through here, it's gonna be your throttle cable. That's gonna connect to right here with this little piece. You can plug your spark plug back in now. I'm just using one of these kits. All you want to do to know you're on not upside down, look down in there, all the side jets line up. Let's come with an extra long one of these. You know what, let's change it out just so you guys can see how to do it. We're going to do what's called the double nut trick here. Take two of these originals. You're going to thread them both on. So you're going to thread them in one. You're going to thread them in like this, if you can see. That way you can grab one and not the other. Just got to be enough because you're going to start backing one off, and what it's going to do is lock one to the other, and it will allow you to back it off. You gotta tighten it first though. So now when I turn this one, heard that crack? You gotta turn the back one, the one closest to the motor, not the outside one. Alright, we know it's loose, so let's go ahead and get these off while we can. And we'll just throw these into the bag of spare parts. There it goes. That's your old one. There's your new one. You can see the new one, slightly longer. Now the shortest thread is what goes in back into the block. Make sure it's lined up or else it's not gonna. So just screw right in. When the bottom's out, you don't have to tighten this down or anything. It'll be tight enough and it'll tighten itself. Get it just finger tight as you can. This goes on the back of this adapter here. Also helps you tell what the top and the bottom. This is always at the top. That's gonna hold your choke lever onto your carb. Okay, tank. Feed your fuel line through first. Now it's gonna go through right here. Make sure you slide it through here correctly. Okay. This back on there so we don't have any fuel leaks. Don't forget, you got an 8mm here and 2 10s on the front. 10, 10. I'm leaving this one loose. I'm not going to tighten it down all the way because I'm going to hook this to a kill switch on the handlebars to our vents that we were talking about. I'll show you guys how to do that. You can get rid of this. You're not going to need that clamp. What we're going to do is cut this, put it in here, put 2 ends on it. We're good to go. So I go to Lowe's because it's cheaper than ordering offline. So I'm going to cut this. This end's we're gonna jam it in here. I always would it with a little spit first. This is how I do it every time. Jam this in as far as it'll go. It'll go pretty far in there if you get it wet. Okay, we're gonna zip tie this pretty tight right here. Right here. They're 2 different sizes slightly. One's gonna fit snug and one's gonna fit well. I zip tie them both. Doesn't really matter which one you put on which one. This one I just let down. This one I get out of the way. This is just your tank vent, like I said, prevent vapor lock. This is your head vent, let any excess pressure out. Oil, things like that. Some people connect catch cans to these if they're running really high pressure setups. Now, all we gotta do is throw this on the muffler, and we're ready to throw it into a bike. Use one of these, because I don't want to piss the neighbors off too terribly. So there you go. That does it. Stage 1 212 Predator. Very similar to what we started with. Now this motor is just plug and play into the frame that we got.